Growing up, I had always held on to the faint hope of seeing my parents again after they left me with Grandma Susan when I was just 9 years old. They had dropped me off at her cozy little home with nothing more than a backpack filled with clothes, assuring me they'd return soon after sorting some things out. "Be good for Grandma," my mom had said, avoiding my gaze. However, they never returned. Those initial months without them were incredibly tough. Each day after school, I would wait by the window, watching every car that passed, hoping it would be them. At night, tears soaked my pillow as I wondered why I wasn't enough for them to stay. But through all this, Grandma Susan was my rock. Grandma Susan was extraordinary, not just as a grandmother, but as a person. Despite being immensely wealthy, she lived simply. She drove an old Toyota and continued working as a high school principal because she loved educating young minds. Her home was filled with exquisite art, and she often spoke of her investments while browsing through financial newspapers. Under her nurturing care, I thrived. She fostered my interest in science, supported me through academic struggles, and celebrated my every small victory. When I won first place in a state science fair at the age of 13, she threw a grand party, proudly proclaiming, "That's my girl. You're going to change the world someday." Our life together was harmonious and fulfilling. She never spoke ill of my parents, ensuring I understood that their absence was not my fault. "Sometimes people make choices they can't take back," she would say sagely, teaching me those choices were reflections on them, not on me. Gradually, I stopped wondering why my parents left and focused on the love and support I received from Grandma Susan. Then came my 19 birthdays. Grandma organized a sophisticated celebration at her favorite restaurant, surrounded by friends. She gifted me a delicate gold chain with a small key pendant. "This is more than just jewelry, Doris," she said with a mysterious smile. "Keep it safe. You'll understand when the time comes." Little did I know, this would be our last celebration together. 5 months later, Grandma Susan passed away suddenly from a heart attack. The grief was overwhelming, ripping through me mercilessly. At her funeral, which was as beautiful as she deserved, her former students shared touching stories of her impact. As I sat in the front row, clutching the key necklace, trying to be as strong as she had taught me to be, I saw them, my parents. They walked into the church, as if they belonged, as if they hadn't left their daughter behind all those years ago. My heart seized at the sight of them. As they approached me, with what seemed like concern, my mom reached out for my hand. Instinctively, I pulled back. "We came as soon as we heard. We're so sorry about your grandmother," my dad said with a nod. The years had changed them, but the hurt they left behind was as fresh as ever. Despite a decade of silence, my parents now seemed eager to rebuild a life with me, asserting that since I was still technically a minor for a few more months, they were my rightful guardians. Their sudden desire to act as a family was staggering. "I'm not going anywhere with you," I stammered, my voice quivering with a mix of anger and disbelief. Grandma Susan had been everything to me. They were practically strangers now. "But Doris," my mother's voice hardened, a tone I faintly remembered from my early childhood, "don't be difficult. We're your parents, and you don't have a choice in this matter." However, her declaration was abruptly interrupted by a deep, authoritative voice. "Actually, she does have a choice." We all turned to see a tall man in a sharp suit, carrying a leather briefcase, approaching us confidently. "I'm David Walker, Susan Langford's attorney, and there are some pressing matters concerning your grandmother's will that we need to discuss." The shift in my parents' demeanor was instantaneous. My mother's eyes sparkled with a mix of curiosity and greed, while my father adjusted his tie, clearly unnerved. "Of course," my father responded smoothly, trying to regain composure. "We are her only living relatives, after all." Mr. Walker's expression remained neutral as he guided us into a private room adjoining the church, where the air felt thick with impending revelations. As we sat down, I instinctively touched the key pendant necklace Grandma Susan had given me, sensing its significance more than ever. Once seated, Mr. Walker began to lay out documents meticulously, ignoring the anxious glances from my parents who resembled nothing more than wary predators. Before he commenced, he looked directly at me. "Miss Doris, could you please show me your necklace?" he requested. Puzzled, my parents watched as I lifted the key pendant. Mr. Walker nodded slightly, a small smile appearing on his face, as if a piece had fallen into place. "Perfect," he murmured. "Now, let us review the terms of Susan Langford's will." He cleared his throat and began. "I, Susan Langford, being of sound mind, declare this to be my last will and testament." The formal legal jargon initially seemed to float around the room until one sentence struck me like a bolt of lightning. "To my beloved granddaughter, Doris Frances Langford, I leave my entire estate, including all properties, investments, bank accounts, and business holdings, currently valued at approximately $90 million. The room erupted into chaos. $90 million? My mother shrieked, her face flushed with shock and anger. Impossible. Susan was just a school principal. My father banged his fist on the table, his voice laced with fury. "This is preposterous. We're her children. You can't tell us she left everything to a teenager." Mr. Walker remained composed amidst the storm. "There's more. The will specifies that Doris is to be legally emancipated immediately, with a trust established in her name. The key she wears opens a safety deposit box that contains additional important documents and instructions." As I processed the revelation, the realization that my unassuming, modest, Toyota-driving grandmother was worth $90 million was overwhelming. Last month's will date raised suspicions from my mother. "We'll contest it," she hissed. "Doris is still a minor. We're her legal guardians." Despite the uproar, a newfound sense of strength began to stir within me. Grandma Susan had not only provided for me in life, but had also empowered me beyond her passing. With this legacy, I felt the weight of her trust and the freedom to shape my future, no longer bound by the past or the sudden whims of those who had chosen to leave me behind. As my parents tried to claim their rights over me and the newfound fortune, Mr. Walker, with a calm yet firm interruption, set the record straight. "Actually," he said, pulling out a document with precision, "you relinquished those rights 12 years ago." He laid out a copy of the abandonment charges that Grandma Susan had filed against them after they left me. "You never responded to the court summons, and full legal custody was granted to her. You haven't been Doris's guardians for a very long time." The mask of concern on my parents' faces dissolved, revealing raw greed and anger. "Doris, sweetie," my mother attempted again, her voice unnaturally sweet. "You don't understand what you're doing. Let us help you manage this. We're family." The word family stung like venom. Where had this family been when they walked out on me? Where was this family during the decade Grandma Susan raised me with love and dedication? "We made a mistake," my father interjected hastily, his tone desperate. "We were young and struggling. But we're here now. We can make things right." "Make it right." I stood, my whole body trembling with fury. "You're only here because of the money. Did you even care that Grandma died? Did you ever actually care about me at all?" Their silence was the only answer I needed. Mr. Walker, seeming to sense the need to shift focus, cleared his throat. "There's one more thing," he said as he handed me a sealed envelope. "Susan left a letter for you, Doris. She asked that you read it alone." Taking the envelope, I excused myself and found a quiet corner of the church. With trembling hands, I broke the seal and unfolded the letter from Grandma Susan. "My dearest Doris, if you're reading this, I'm no longer here, and you've just learned about our family's wealth. I know this must be a shock. I kept it a secret for many reasons, primarily to protect you and to let you grow up valuing hard work and kindness over material wealth. Your parents chose money over love, time, and again, they abandoned you because I refused to fund their extravagant lifestyles any longer. In their greed, they gave me the greatest gift of all, you. The key I gave you opens more than just a safety deposit box. It opens the door to your future. I've made arrangements for everything. The house is yours, your college fund is secure, and the family business awaits your readiness. But most importantly, remember this. You are loved for who you are, not for your inheritance. The quiet strength that helped you survive their abandonment will now help you manage this responsibility. Don't let your parents manipulate you. They might try, but you're stronger than they realize. You are a Langford woman, and we don't break easily. All my love, Grandma Susan. Tears streamed down my face as I finished the letter. In death, as in life, Grandma Susan was still protecting, guiding, and loving me. Clutching the key around my neck, a wave of understanding and resolve washed over me. When I returned to the private room, my parents were still arguing with Mr. Walker about contesting the will. They stopped and turned as I walked in. "Doris," my mother began, reaching out, but I raised my hand to stop her. "I've made my decision," I stated firmly, empowered by Grandma Susan's words and the love she had instilled in me. I was ready to face whatever came next, standing firmly on the legacy and the values she had passed down to me. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice steady and unwavering. "Both of you. You're not welcome here." My father began to retort, anger flaring in his eyes. "Now listen here." But Mr. Walker cut him off smoothly. "Should I call security?" His calm demeanor was unflappable as he added, "As the sole heir and property owner, Doris has the right to have you removed." The realization dawned on their faces. They had lost. Not just the money, but any possibility of influencing my decisions. "This isn't over," my mother hissed venomously as they collected their belongings. "You'll regret this," she spat out, but her threats felt hollow. I watched them leave, a sense of awed peace settling over me. Once they were out of sight, I turned to Mr. Walker. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now," he replied with a smile, "we visit that safety deposit box. Your grandmother left quite detailed instructions about the next steps. Shall we?" As we left the church, I caught a glimpse of my parents in the parking lot, embroiled in a furious argument. They had chosen money over love once before, and that choice had finally caught up with them. Touching the key around my neck, I smiled. Grandma Susan had given me more than an inheritance. She had bestowed upon me the strength to stand on my own. The safety deposit box at the First National Bank was exactly as Grandma Susan had promised, and much more. Mr. Walker assisted me as I sifted through its contents: property deeds, stock certificates, and meticulous instructions regarding the family business, Langford Investments, a company I hadn't even known existed. But what captured my attention was a USB drive labeled, "Watch Me First." Mr. Walker produced his laptop, and soon, Grandma Susan's face appeared on the screen. She looked healthy and vibrant, clearly recorded just before her passing. "Doris, my darling girl," she began, her familiar smile beaming from the screen and warming my heart. "If you're watching this, then everything has happened as I expected. Your parents showed up at my funeral, didn't they? Trying to claim what was never theirs to begin with." I gasped, astonished at her foresight. Even from beyond, she had anticipated their actions. "You see, Doris, there's something you need to know about your parents," she continued, her tone becoming serious. The video was about to reveal yet more secrets, showing that Grandma Susan's wisdom and protection extended far beyond what I had imagined. The revelations from the video would likely reshape my understanding of the past and guide my decisions for the future. The key around my neck not only unlocked the safety deposit box, but was also the key to unraveling the deeper truths of my family and the legacy left to me. When I played the USB that Grandma Susan had left in the safety deposit box, her image filled the screen, her expression a mix of sorrow and resolve. "They didn't just abandon you, Doris," she began, her voice steady and clear. "Your father, my son, and your mother tried to steal everything from me. While I was away on a business trip, they attempted to transfer all my assets into their names. They underestimated me, thinking I was just a naive school principal. They never knew I was the founder of Langford Investments." She paused, her gaze hardening as she recounted the betrayal. "When I uncovered their scheme, I gave them a choice: stay and learn the value of hard work living modestly, or leave. They chose to leave, abandoning you, thinking I would come begging for them to return. They never realized that in doing so, they were giving up the greatest treasure of all." Tears streamed down my face as Grandma's words sunk in. She continued, "I watched you grow into an extraordinary young woman, kind, intelligent, and hardworking. Qualities they never possessed. That's why I know you're ready for this responsibility. The video then detailed the intricacies of Langford Investments, the properties, and, most importantly, the charitable foundation she had established. The Langford Foundation provides scholarships to abandoned children, she explained. You'll be its new director, Doris. Use our wealth to help others like yourself. That's our true legacy. The weeks following were a whirlwind. Mr. Walker introduced me to the company's board of directors, who had all known and respected Grandma Susan. They welcomed me warmly, ready to guide me as I learned to navigate the business. My parents didn't surrender easily. They hired lawyers, contested the will, and even tried to claim Grandma Susan was mentally unstable when she made it. But Grandma had been meticulous. Every document was in order, and every decision was legally sound. Their final attempt to regain control came 5 months later when they caused a scene in the lobby of Langford Investments. "We're her parents," my mother yelled as security restrained them. "She can't keep us out." I faced them calmly, wearing one of Grandma's elegant suits, the key necklace still around my neck. "Actually, I can and I will," I stated firmly. "We'll go to the press," my father threatened. "Tell everyone how you stole our inheritance." I smiled, feeling Grandma Susan's quiet strength coursing through me. "Go ahead. Tell them how you abandoned your 9-year-old daughter. Tell them how you tried to steal from your mother. I'm sure the press will love that story." Defeated, they realized then that they had lost everything, not just the money, but any semblance of dignity or moral high ground they might have claimed. Grandma Susan's foresight and planning had ensured that the legacy and the future of Langford Investments would be in the hands of someone who truly valued it, not for its monetary worth, but for its potential to do good. As I stepped into my new role, I was determined to honor her vision and use the resources she had entrusted to me to change the lives of others, just as she had changed mine. As I watched my parents walk away, possibly for the last time, I felt a firm resolve settle within me. "Goodbye," I said clearly, ensuring there was no ambiguity in my tone. "Don't come back." My fingers instinctively found the key necklace around my neck, a tangible reminder of Grandma Susan's enduring presence and guidance. That same evening, in the quiet sanctity of what used to be Grandma's office, and was now mine, I signed off on the first round of scholarships from the Langford Foundation. 20 children from broken homes were about to receive a chance at a better life, a new beginning much like the one Grandma had given me. Sitting behind the desk, I looked up at her photo hanging on the wall. Her eyes seemed to twinkle back at me with approval and pride. She had left me much more than an inheritance. She had entrusted me with a purpose, strength, and the power to make a difference. The old Toyota still parked in my garage was a daily reminder of that legacy. Despite now having the means to buy any car I desired, that simple, reliable Toyota represented more than just transportation. It symbolized the humble, hardworking ethos of the incredible woman who had raised me. Sometimes, to honor her, I would wear her old principal's blazer to board meetings. Those who had known her nodded in recognition and smiled. They saw not just the echo of Susan Langford in me, but her living legacy continuing through my actions. As for my parents, I heard they had moved to another state. They spent their days recounting tales of their ungrateful daughter to anyone who would listen. However, their words no longer had the power to hurt me. I knew who I was and the values I stood for. I am Doris Frances Langford. Like my grandmother before me, I choose love over money, kindness over greed, and the well-being of others over my own. These choices define me and are the true marks of family and legacy. Each day, as I continue the work of the Langford Foundation, I am guided by the principles that Grandma Susan embodied. In this way, I do more than follow in her footsteps. I strive to extend the path she carved, using the wealth she amassed not to define me, but to uplift those who need it most. That is what real family does, and that is the legacy I aim to leave behind.